yourself. Ponder yourself in the mirror. The title of my speech today is Reflections. I'm going to share some reflections with you on the concept of self. I'm going to take you on a brief encounter with yourself, and then I'm going to issue a challenge. Let's start with some reflections. This person that we look at in the mirror and we think of as self, there are two parts, really. There's the part you show the outside world. It's what I look at when I see you. Do you see that part of you when you look in the mirror? Is that what you see? Is that what you evaluate in the morning when you brush your teeth? Or when you're standing there washing your hands? If you were to look at me and describe me as my outside self, you would say that I'm a woman, I'm a speaker, I'm a nurse. Those of you who know more about me would say she's a mother, she's an author. You could say a lot of things about me. She used to have black hair, coloring hair. You could say a lot of things about me. What do you see about you when you look in that mirror? Are you looking at the outside things? Are you seeing the attorney? Are you seeing the real estate broker? Are you seeing the hypnotherapist? The successful businessman? The financial planner? There's another part of you, the authentic self, the deeper self. Is that the self you see when you look in the mirror? Do you know that self very well, or has it become hidden? See, when we're brought into this world, we don't know the difference between an inner and an outer self. We are all spirit, all person. Babies and young children are delightful that way because they don't know that they are supposed to be a certain way. They learn, sometimes far too quickly, to become just what the people around them want them to be. And oftentimes that's the saddest part, because the beautiful being that's inside each and every person is just that, is beautiful and unique, and I believe important. Now, there are all kinds of people who write about these different kinds of selves. Theologians would call this outer self maybe the false self, and the inner self, that person that really lives behind your eyes and in your brain and your emotions, and that inner being, the authentic self. So there are theologians who write about this. There are positive psychologists who write about this. You can read and read and read about these concepts. There are physicians who write about these concepts. I had an interesting experience about 6 months ago with a success book. There's a mirror exercise in here on page 199. If anybody of you are interested in success principles, this is probably the best book I've ever found on success principles by Jack Canfield. He asks people to go through this mirror exercise where you encounter the mirror every day and talk to yourself in the mirror for 3 months straight. And I realized I was having trouble with that. I realized that my outer self and my inner self were somehow disconnected. And I think I'm pretty connected with my inner self. But the world is a difficult and rather harsh place to take your inner self out in day after day. So we all do the protective moves, where we hide just a little bit behind a mask. We wear the makeup, we do the hair. Those aren't bad things. But if we allow them to, they become what we define ourselves with. And that's not who I am. So who are you? If you open up this little handout that I gave you, I'd like you to just in your mind answer some of these questions first. When people look at you, what is it that they see? Do they see the businessman? Do they see the real estate broker? How much of your inner self are you allowing them to see? Who are you as your authentic self? You may never know this about me, but I'm actually rather introverted and fairly shy. I don't look like it when I stand up in front of a group of people and talk, but I am. And sometimes it's really, really hard for me to say the things that I know that I'm supposed to say to people like you, because I'm that rather introverted person. But I hide that. But that's part of my authentic self. Who are you on the inside? And what would happen if you became only 5% more authentically you? Just a little bit. I want you to take a minute and write down 1 or 2 things that would happen if you became more authentically you. Please do that right now. What would happen? If I became 5% more authentically me then, and just stream of consciousness, don't think too much. The first 2 that come to my mind for me right now are, I would be happier, and number 2, I would be feeling a little more vulnerable. I challenge you to take that on, to become 5% more authentically you. And I would invite you to read along this poem in the back that I wrote for you this morning. First half of it was already written. Second half came together this morning for you. Mirror, mirror on the wall, you reflect me best of all. Who I am for all to see is what I project and then call me. I'm more than just this outer face. The real me lives in a deeper place. It's up to me to find my best qualities and allow them to show. If we all do our part, goodness will flow. That's my challenge. Do your part when you look in the mirror. Remind yourself of who you are and carry that out into the world, because God knows our world needs you and needs that goodness that you bring.